Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Misunderstood Show. Today we have Keaton Harris with Lone Star
Lone Star Home Inspections.
Lone Star Home Inspections.
Yes.
I just wanted to say Lone Star Inspections because you do commercial, home, everything.
I do. Yeah, I do it all.
Yeah. So we should drop the home. It's hard to do that, huh?
Yeah, it really needs to be in there.
Yeah.
I would say probably 90% of my jobs are home inspections.
Yeah,
so
of course.
it needs to be in there.
There's a lot of turnaround in those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a keen eye for detail. Keen, like
I
Keaton.
love it.
I love it. You do. I saw it on your website.
It's
I was like,
perfect.
yeah, he seems like that guy. Everybody's like, yeah, he notices things that nobody notices, or
You have to. I
he
mean,
picks up
that's
on
my
the
job.
stuff. So I felt like that was a good representation.
Yeah.
I know you say not just 1 star, but 5 star.
Yeah.
But I feel like you do pay attention to the details. And you just talk about the details.
Right.
And you mention things that people forget,
Right.
which
yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
Like getting pre-inspections.
Yes.
We don't talk about that very much.
We don't. Maybe we should. Maybe we should get into that
I know.
eventually.
We need to do our little video we've been
Yeah.
talking about doing for 6 months.
Yes. Yes.
It's a new year, right?
We're off to a good start.
We're going to do it. We can get Megan to do it with us, or somebody, or John.
Be great.
Yeah, and
let's do it.
Christy.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that would be good because it saves a lot of headache.
And there's a lot of misunderstood information about it. I mean, there's a lot of things that people are
Like
they're
what?
kind of scared of it. Well, a lot of people say, well, if you get a pre-listing inspection, then you've got to disclose it, the disclosures.
But it's
and-
going to come up anyway.
Exactly.
So why go
why
into
hide it?
contract, waste everybody's
Exactly.
time,
Exactly.
and then because it's a lot of work once you go into contract. You got to take option money and earnest money and try to
Right.
open, do all this stuff. And
Right. And don't you kind of want to know what you're selling?
yeah,
you
then
know?
you can fix stuff ahead of
Exactly.
time
You get it right.
and already have the receipts ready, and
Exactly.
I think it'll move your house faster.
Yeah. And that open dialogue with the buyer too.
Yeah, why are you trying to hide stuff anyway?
Exactly.
That seems a little sketch.
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like it's a good thing. It's like opening title. Like we open title early. We try to. We can't always. Some title companies out in the country, if we have to go through their abstract, they won't open title until there's a contract, which is so silly. I don't understand why. We still have to go through them. They're still going to get it.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Like, wouldn't you want to get ahead of the ball?
Right.
Like, if there's a lien or anything, people are like, oh, well, I don't have any liens. Sometimes they don't know that they have
They don't
liens.
know it. Right.
Or there was something from a long time ago, or there was something, or the probate wasn't, done,
Right.
or surveys are wrong.
Or
That's really
divorces.
common.
Divorces could probably get a little sticky too.
Well, I mean, like, even people are like, well, I've owned this house for 20, 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
There's no issues. Well, what's funny is they think there's no issues, and then we get a survey, and we're like, survey's wrong.
Wow.
What does that show? Survey says.
Oh gosh. I don't remember.
Family Feud
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. I have some friends that were on Family Feud recently.
I've never met anybody that's been on any kind of show.
They live here on Lake Conroe.
Did they win anything?
Yeah, they've gone to like 4 rounds or something. They keep
Really?
winning. The San Filippo's, they're cool. You should
Have you
look
ever
them up.
met anybody that was on like Wheel of Fortune or something?
No, I watched a lot of Wheel of Fortune.
You would think of all these years of Wheel of Fortune that we would have known somebody that has been on that show. I've
Well,
never
they're-
met anybody.
I think Wheel of Fortune's up on the East Coast. So a lot of people that go on or live in the
Probably.
up in the East Coast or whatever.
Probably.
And then like I'm pretty sure that Family Feud's on the West Coast, like in California. I think is where they went to record it. I know they told me, but I have very short-term memory.
I never watched
I
any
have
of
too
that.
much in my brain, trying to remember too many things. But yeah, so all those things like opening title early, doing pre-inspections, getting when you list your home, if the realtor has the ability to go ahead and put all those documents in HAR or whatever MLS you're in, you know, it's already there. And then the buyer can decide, you know, they have a better, I know that some people will be like, when you put that inspection report, it will scare buyers away because you have to put everything in there kind of CYA.
Sure.
And most of it is just CYA. It's not even a big deal, but then they'll freak out about it.
I mean, nobody should buy a house just off a pre-listing inspection. If you're the buyer, you need to get your own inspection done.
Correct.
For sure. But also at the same time, if you are the listing agent, don't you kind of want to know where you stand, right?
Right.
If the buyer, if the seller doesn't know how old the roof is, doesn't know anything about the AC system,
A lot of people don't remember.
they don't know anything. Yeah. You know,
Who keeps up with that?
I did a home inspection a while back, and I was talking to the lady. It was the owner that was living there, and I was there doing an inspection for the buyer, but the owner was there. Super nice lady. But it was an induction style stovetop. And she was like, oh, and this was like a 1985 house, you know? And she's like, oh, yes, this is the original induction stovetop. I'm looking at the stovetop. I'm like, no, this thing's like 5 years old.
Yeah.
But she was an older lady, you know?
Yeah,
so
she didn't remember.
she doesn't remember, you
Yeah.
know? And that kind of happens with,
That happens to me.
yeah,
You're just asking me about
Same.
my heat's broke and
yeah,
asking me about how old. I'm like, I don't know.
same. I mean, people,
I know they told
lose
us
track.
last time they were there, but I just don't remember.
Well, you know what? You get on with your everyday life, and you don't think about those kind of things.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, God, when was it when I had it serviced last, you know, or
Yeah.
something?
My last house that I bought, the lady kept everything documented, and she labeled everything with like stickers.
That's rare.
Like even every time she put salt in the water softener, it was labeled. Every time she, you know, had
That's rare.
the garbage disposal worked on, she had like these labels, you know, every time anything was replaced. And the house wasn't very old. I think the house was like 4 years old or something.
Yeah.
But she had everything. And then she had a whole notebook with all the receipts and
I love it. when
all
they do
the
that.
people that she would call for everything in there. And I was like, that's a brilliant idea. So I kept up with it after I bought the house. I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
But then I moved and
Yeah. I
I've
can't ever do that. I can't
not
ever keep up
organized
with that.
anymore. And
I just flush the water heater one day, you know, when I don't have anything to do. Forget when I did it last, you know.
yeah, how often should you flush a water heater?
Once a year you should. And it really comes
Do you
down
do that
to
yourself? Will
Yeah.
you do that for
yeah,
people?
I don't do it for other people. There's a lot of liability, especially
So
if
you
the
need to
water
hire
heater's
like
in
a
the-
plumber.
You really do.
Okay.
You really need to hire somebody to do
Who
that.
do you use for plumbing usually?
So I use Skylar.
I knew you were gonna say
Plumbing. Yeah, I love him. He's awesome. Super nice guy. He's just a
He's
real
in my
down
boss
to earth,
group.
honest guy. You know, and I love that. Just be
Yeah,
your-
and everybody says that he's like doesn't overcharge and he's just kind of Johnny on the spot. And
yeah.
he's very honest. And
I
he'll-
love supporting the small guy.
Yeah,
You know, and and he's just a great guy.
yeah.
You know.
He's real supportive of everybody else.
Yeah, and he goes, you know, I have a large travel area. My travel area is a 100-mile radius around downtown Houston. So I can send him out on a job far away, and I know he can get to it, you know.
Yeah, he goes far too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, probably depends on the job. He probably wouldn't go down to Missouri City just to flush a water heater. But
Right.
to replace one, he probably would.
Right.
You know,
It has to be worth your time.
yeah, yeah. But you really should, you know, the water condition too can dramatically change
Yeah,
the
if you have
life
hard
of a
water and stuff like
Yes.
that. Yeah. Water
Yeah.
softeners help, right?
They do,
They
yeah.
help a lot with saving
Water
appliances,
filtration.
faucets.
Yes, water filtration, water softeners, they really do help.
What
I don't
about
have
RO systems? Is that just for the drinking water?
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
install it, it's like under the sink in the kitchen.
Right, yeah, that's for your drinking water, and I highly recommend doing those. Those are really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, anything with water, especially if you're going to be drinking it. If you're not going to be drinking it, if you drink mostly bottled water, but
Which
you
is
cook
worse
with-
because it has plastic in it, and you're
Yeah.
putting plastic in the landfill.
yeah, unless you're buying the glass Perrier or something.
Or you might as well just
Same
buy an
part,
RO system.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. They're kind of expensive at first, and you can take them with you when you move.
You're right. Yeah.
I know people who've done that.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm taking it with me. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But, you know, like my house, we have our own mud district. And sometimes the power will go down in it. or they'll do some work on the water lines, and then for the next couple of days we'll have murky water.
Ew.
And you got to think that all that murky water is going in your water heater.
That's gross.
So it's going to settle down at the base. So you really need to flush it once a year. You'll get a longer life out of your water heater.
Yeah.
You know, they say industry standards is about 12 years for water heaters, but that can dramatically change based off your water condition.
And how you maintain it.
Yeah. If you're on a well system.
It's like vehicles. You know, people trade
yeah.
their vehicle in like every 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? You can get, 15, 20 years out of a vehicle if you take care of it.
If you take care of
If you
it.
do all the maintenance.
Yeah. That's the thing. You got to take care of it.
Yeah. I'm going strong on mine. She's
How many miles are on your car?
220,000.
That's pretty good. I got 450,000 miles on my truck.
450? What kind of
450.
truck do you have?
It's a diesel. So,
It's a Dodge?
No, it's Chevrolet.
Oh, I'm a Chevy girl.
Yeah.
But I do like Dodge diesels.
Yeah.
That Cummins is a good engine.
Oh, yeah. They all have their things,
My dad has
right?
a Duramax. He loves his.
And that's what I have, a Duramax.
Yeah.
But,
He's had some issues with it.
depending on what year you bought in, you might
Yeah.
have issues with injection pumps or injectors
There's
or
always
something like
something
that.
with someone. Mine always has O2 sensor issues.
It seems like every manufacturer has their things, right? Like the gas engines for Chevrolet, they had like a cam and lifter issue, which is pretty serious. I mean, that's expensive to replace,
Yeah.
and
Well, now
fix.
they're having transmission issues. They
Transmission
changed the
issues.
transmission in 2014.
I read something about a massive recall on their or 8 speeds or 10 speeds.
Ever since they changed the engine in 2014, Chevy tried to make their vehicles more gas efficient. Their
Yeah.
trucks and SUVs like Tahoes,
Yeah.
the Tahoe, the Suburban, and the pickup trucks
Which
all
made
have
things
basically
worse.
the same engines. Yeah, they have a lot of issues, especially the Suburbans because they're so heavy, and those transmissions aren't lasting.
Well, same thing with the diesels when they, came in with all of the DEF fluid that you had to put in there and all the emission stuff, the EGR coolers. All that did was just create more problems.
Yeah.
And it's expensive to repair.
Do you think it's actually helping the environment?
I don't know. Here's how I think about it. Why are we worried about all of the...
Because you used to be a mechanic. That's why I'm asking
Yeah.
you.
Why are we worried about all of the people driving around in cars when you see 18-wheelers going down the road, blowing black smoke, Also, the EPA requires anything under 20 horsepower on tractors to have DEF fluid. A 20 horsepower tractor, think about it. That probably sees maybe 10 hours a year at the most.
Well, unless you're a farmer.
For 20 horsepower, probably not much because you're just moving a bale of hay or something every now and then. 20 horsepower isn't the tractor that's plowing a field.
Right.
Those are the 200 horsepower tractors,
You're just like mowing your lawn.
And why are we
Moving
requiring
leaves.
them to have DEF, fluid on them when they're supplying our food? And not only that,
Explain
but
to people what DEF fluid is.
so it's a fluid. It's ammonia really that you add to.
Isn't that more toxic?
No. I mean, I wouldn't drink it for sure.
Ammonia? And don't mix it with bleach?
Yeah, or that either. But basically, you have this particulate filter in your exhaust, and it accumulates all the soot, which is the black stuff you see in the air. So it accumulates all this soot in a very, very fine filter.
And that kind of eats through it, or what?
So they send that ammonia down the exhaust system with its own injector, and they increase the exhaust temperature really, really high, so it helps basically incinerate all of the particles.
So it doesn't go up in the air.
No, it doesn't.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it incinerates it.
Yeah.
So it is a good thing, but it's a little bit overkill because think about this. If you're a farmer with a 200 horsepower tractor plowing a field,
I don't think you're a real farmer if that's what you're using then, huh?
I mean, if you're blowing black smoke in the air, there's something wrong with your tractor. And you know the price of those tractors. They're not going to sit there and plow a field blowing black smoke. There's something wrong. They're going to stop and fix it. I don't know. I have my own opinions about it, but I feel like it's a little overkill.
Yeah.
Why are we worried about the people that are just daily driving?
Well, it's a lot of drivers on the road,
Yeah.
especially here.
Ships run on diesel.
They don't have to have those stipulations.
No.
Interesting. But there's not as many ships running around as there are cars.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a ship counter. I'm not really sure.
Well, they don't have like traffic jams in the ocean, do they?
I mean, there's a lot of ships.
In the port.
There's a lot of
I
ships.
guess,
Yeah.
There's a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
A lot of bad drivers.
But only a fraction of them are diesel.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, that's true. Very small
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah.
You have your German cars.
Yeah, some of those are diesels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Volkswagens and Mercedes and stuff. They have a lot of diesels.
Yeah.
They're good engines.
Yeah.
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 But I like to support America.
I don't know. I'm against all the EPA regulations. Kind of dumb. It's expensive for
Yeah, but
the
look at the quality of air in Houston is terrible. You think it's not just from traffic though, it's from all the plants and there's so many manufacturing plants in Houston.
I think that if you're going to require people to have this equipment on their vehicle, you need to make it affordable to replace and repair. The cost of the labor to repair it too. Labor is expensive, and the parts are crazy expensive.
Why is it so expensive for labor on diesel? Is it harder to be a diesel mechanic?
Yeah, usually the labor's hired for diesels. Yeah,
Because it's harder to get that certification, correct?
It would depend on what you're working on, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because you were a certified mechanic.
yeah,
Did you do diesel?
yeah,
You did?
yeah. I was a bumper-to-bumper technician, so I did everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
Chevys, Fords.
only Chevrolets. I was a General Motors
Okay.
technician.
That's
yeah.
my brothers are both General Motors, but they don't do diesels.
Yeah, I don't blame them. They're depending on what you're working on, they can be pretty difficult to work
That's what
on.
they
A lot
were
more
saying.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why they charge more.
yeah,
You gotta make a living.
yeah.
But they last a long time.
450,000 miles on
Yeah.
mine.
It's rare to get that out of a gas motor.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you got like an old 450 Ford.
I did see a guy on it was TikTok, and he had a Chevrolet truck. I don't remember what year it was. I think it was a 05, 04. It had 750,000 miles on it. Original engine, original transmission.
Wow.
And he was showing the inside. It was like pristine on the inside. And he said he was going to try and keep it until it got up to 1 million miles.
He's
Anything
trying to
happen.
break is there like
Back
a
to
Guinness
like
Book
what
of
we
Records
said,
for that?
just take care of your stuff and it'll last longer.
Yeah. Take care of your house. Take care of your car.
Yeah.
Quit throwing stuff away.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
Keep the leaves off your roof.
Yeah.
Keep your gutters cleaned out.
Yeah. That's hard. Especially in the woodlands.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a 2-story house. We have a 2-story house. We have the gutter covers. So at least
That
it's
helps.
not going all inside.
It does help. Yeah.
But, up on when you get to that second story, it's just so hard. You can't just blow it off.
I know.
You have to get up on a ladder and
Well, and in the woodlands, you have all the pine trees. So I lived in a neighborhood that had a lot of pine trees, and I would blow the roof off, and then a couple weeks later, the valleys would be filled with pine needles again. I mean,
I'm blowing my porch off, my furniture off constantly.
Yeah, and when you have a 2-story roof, that's kind of hard to do.
It is.
Super dangerous too.
Yeah, and we have our house is basically flat on 3 sides, and then the back has some different cool roof where it comes down.
Like a stepped roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the front, it's completely flat. We don't even have a front porch. It's just this tiny little entrance. It was that 1990, late 90s, early 2000s style where it's all flat and it's just the door.
Yeah. So what do? You just get up there once a year and blow the roof off, or just leave it? Let
I
somebody else
don't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
afraid
the
of
right
heights.
way to do it. That's the right
I don't
way
even
to do
put
it.
Christmas lights on my house.
I know. I think about all these guys putting Christmas lights on these 2-story houses. I mean,
Yeah. A lot of people, I'd noticed in our neighborhood, they pay people to do it. You can tell it's like professionally done. They're all the same.
Yes.
It's just the white bulbs and they're all lined, the
Yeah.
whole peaks. It looks really pretty, but it's kind of boring.
Yeah. So the guy that put the lights up on our house, I guess, and I think a lot of them do it, but they do this deal where they'll store the lights for you. So you pay a one-time fee for them to cut the lights and make it fit your house, it's custom fit.
Wow.
And then they take all the lights down,
And storm.
store them for you, and then the next year they come out and put them up again. But I'm like, how do they know exactly how it goes?
How do they remember?
Yeah,
They probably just wing it.
probably.
Or they might label it,
Maybe, yeah.
Peak, front peak, side window. I don't know. I always thought it'd be cool to decorate my whole house like a gingerbread house on the outside.
Have you ever been to one of those gingerbread house? I remember as a kid, there was a church that used to do it. They would make like these life-size gingerbread houses. You ever seen that?
No, I just saw something. Somebody was talking about making one. Her goal was to make a life-size gingerbread house of her own house.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It was on like Netflix, like a cooking show.
I think it was like Second Baptist in Houston. I mean, I was young, so I don't really remember. But yeah, there were these. It was a contest.
That's cool.
So all the members of the church would get
They
together.
actually baked all the gingerbread and everything.
So that I don't know.
Or just
I'm
made
not
out of
really
cardboard.
sure. Maybe it was cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have cardboard boat races in New Braunfels, and we would make cardboard boats and float them down
Go to the river.
go into the Comal River and go through the tube chute in them.
Did they all make it?
You're only allowed to use like cardboard, duct tape, and like something else. Like you're very limited what you can use.
Was it one of those things where, like, if you actually made it to the end, to the finish line, you won? Because all of them would
They
sink?
fall apart.
Yeah.
It's a race who can get there the fastest, for sure.
Yeah.
So they make them all aerodynamic, and you'd have like 3 or 4 people in them, and
They were life-size?
yeah, you have to ride in them.
Oh, I thought it was like a model you send down through it.
No, like Boy Scouts.
Yeah. So you actually got in this thing, huh?
I didn't. I went to the races and watched.
Yeah.
They do them like when it's kind of cold.
Yeah.
Well, that water's freezing anyway.
Yeah, that water's
But
super
they do it like
cold.
in the off season, so it's not super hot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun to watch.
I bet.
Yeah.
Sounds really fun.
Yeah, I miss that. I miss all the New Braunfels
Comal River is
festivities.
beautiful. I love Comal River.
Yeah, they have like Wassail Fest and Worst Fest, Everything Fest. They even do like Fiesta and Dia de los Muertos and Cinco de Mayo, and because it's very like German Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm in like a Mexican German,
Yeah.
and so I miss all that stuff. Like we don't do that around here really. But I did get a wassail recipe. I'm gonna make wassail this year for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it because it was at HEB. They were you know how they sample their recipe.
Yeah.
And they give you a little card.
And you like it?
Yeah, they had like all the herbs in like a little sack from like, you know, in the health food section where it's like bulk.
Yeah.
They had the wassail spices,
Yeah.
which they only get once a year, they said.
Really?
Yeah. Just
Well,
for
I
this.
guess for Christmas
It's
season.
literally just for wassail.
Yeah.
It's like wassail spices.
Do they have the eggnog too?
I make eggnog as well
Yeah.
from scratch, like with eggs and a tiny bit of bourbon,
Yeah.
you know. But a lot of people don't eat or drink eggnog.
I don't like wassail. I don't
It's
like eggnog.
You don't like wassail? Have you had good wassail?
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah,
Maybe I haven't
a lot
had
of
good
bad
wassail.
wassail out there, especially if it's not homemade.
Yeah. I don't.
I used to go to Wassail Fest, so it was like you get to sample all these like old German.
Are they all different?
Yeah, they're all tiny bit different. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's why I don't like it. Maybe I got some bad wassail.
There's bad wassail. I've had a lot of bad wassail. That's why when I went to HEB, they had a good like it was good. I was like, oh, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
But you have to buy like the organic apple cider. You know, it's like the mother.
They have like a whole kit.
Has like the mother. No, you have to buy all the ingredients separate.
Oh.
It's like from scratch. And you have to boil it, but it's gonna be good. I'll make some.
You should make some.
I
and
should make some and bring it to B&I
That's what you should do.
with some like cinnamon bread.
Yeah. I won't be there. Don't do it this BNI coming up. I
Where
won't
are you
be there.
going?
I'm going to Cabo.
Dude, I'm gonna start calling you Vacation Keaton.
We're going to Cabo with 8 friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're taking our kids down. We had a choice. We did a fundraiser for the wolf sanctuary in Navasota, and they had all these like silent auction stuff, and nobody had bid on this trip to. It was either Cabo or Puerto Vallarta. I was like, oh, I'll just do the first bid to get it going. Well, nobody bid on it.
Did you win? Anyone?
One, I got stuck with paying for it. My husband was like, what?
Wait, that's a trick.
Yeah.
So it wasn't free?
I thought I was just going to bid on. Well, you have to bid on it. It's a silent auction. So you bid on it and you have to pay it once you bid. I just bid the lowest bid to get it going because nobody had bid on it.
Wait a minute. So this auction was for a trip that you had to pay for?
Mm-hmm. But it's super cheap. So like normally, I
So
think
it's a
it was
discount.
valued at like $3,600 and we got it for like $1,100.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But usually what they do is people bid on it and it's a total write-off. So like local business owners will bid on it and then they can write it off because it goes through like the Catholic Church
Sure.
as a donation.
Gotcha.
And so you're raising money for the church. They do a wolf sanctuary. They save all these wolves.
So did y'all go?
Well, that's what we're trying to get my kids'
Where's
passports.
Where's the wolf sanctuary?
In Navasota.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. They do like at Halloween every year, they do like a big festival.
That's
It's kind of cool. They
Yeah.
have wolves out there. They put like meat in like these piñatas and then they pull it and let them attack
eat it.
It's pretty
Yeah.
fun.
They used to have this thing at the zoo. It was called Feed the Beast. I don't know if they still do it, but they would.
Was it a Sasquatch?
No.
That would have been cool.
No. They need to get a Sasquatch there because I need to go see the Sasquatch.
We need to prove Sasquatch is real. All this alien stuff coming out is just
Did you get stuck on that?
Dude, I have been obsessed with it for about 20 years because my uncle, one day, he's a super Christian guy and read the Bible every day. And he was in the Air Force. He was in like intelligence and he was stationed in like Area 51 and stuff. And he told me that they had the ships, the aircraft and the bodies and that he says that they live in the bottom of the ocean or in the earth and that they are like angels or guardians, that they're demons and angels. That was his theory.
I don't know.
But he said he's seen them. He
one of
was
those
there
people
when
that
they
just-
found them. Like when they brought them to the base. He was there. He was stationed
so he saw
there.
them? So he saw
Yes.
them.
So he saw them. And he told me all of this. He was in his 80s when he told me. This man has never lied in his life. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like the most honest person. He was serious. He wasn't like joking. And I was like, what? He's my great uncle. It was my granddaddy's sister's husband. Anyway, yeah. And so I've just started going down the rabbit hole of research.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude.
I
And then
know.
I went to Big Bend and I saw what I felt like was
Somehow for a
alien
little while.
spacecraft, which there's a lot of sightings there.
Yes.
And then you just keep going down that rabbit hole. And I would tell people, what he told me. And they're like looking at me like I'm nuts. And now, they just came out with they just had that hearing, in front of the Senate.
So you know how like TikTok, if it like remembers what you like to watch,
I don't
right?
have TikTok.
Oh, well.
But they all like that. They have
an algorithm, right? Well,
You mean your phone listens
for a
to you?
while, we're gonna now
All the time.
Now I'm gonna be getting UFO sightings on my TikTok feeds
Yeah.
now. But I went through a phase where there was a bunch of UFO things, and I was like, "This is just crazy," and I don't know what to make
There's
of it.
way too much evidence.
I'm to the point
and
now where I'm
sightings.
like, until I see it for myself, then I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know.
Yeah, well, I saw it. I mean, I didn't see it like up close. I wasn't abducted. My brother told me he was abducted in Florida, and then he played it off like he was just kidding because I was like, "What?" Yeah, I think he didn't want me to think he was crazy. And then so he kind of backtracked, but then, yeah. I mean, there's so much. Then I did the whole study on the Bermuda Triangle. I did a paper on it in high school. And then I started looking into the Alaskan Triangle because my uncle, we started talking about that. And I said, is that what the Bermuda Triangle was? And he was like, yeah, in the Alaskan Triangle. And that's why all these airline pilots, there's thousands of sightings in the military and airline pilots. I mean, even commercial airline pilots, all pilots seeing them constantly and messing with their.
I don't know. I've flown to Bermuda quite a few times, made it perfectly fine. So I don't know.
Until that one time.
Until that one time.
Apparently they like to mess with the military. I don't know. But, all these people being abducted and people who are like lie detector tests and have no history of mental illness, and scientists and whistleblowers, and there's way too much evidence. But now the government have said, yeah, we have the spacecraft in their bodies. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a little commercial break. Dick's going to play us some cool music and commercials. I don't know who we got this week, but I'm sure it's somebody good. It's usually a good local business we want to support. So we'll see y'all back in a minute.
Car enthusiasts of Conroe, FM 104.5 and 106.1 Lone Star Community Radio invites you to shift into gear every Monday from 1 to 2 with Cruising Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy for news on all things automotive in the greater Houston-Conroe area. Can't make a live show? We've got you covered. You can find all of our uncut content, including full episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Play Store, YouTube, Facebook, and irlonestar.com. Again, that's Mondays 1 to 2, Cruising Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy. See you there.
Welcome back. All right, well, we've been talking about all kinds of stuff, randoms, the aliens, the Bigfoots. But what's really important is getting your home inspected, even if you're buying a new home, a new construction home. What's even better is if you get a phase inspection.
Yeah.
Tell us how that works, Keaton.
So for phase inspections, basically what we're doing is we're breaking up the inspection process of a new construction house, right? So we have phase 1, which is right before you pour your foundation.
Okay.
It's called a pre-pour foundation. We're inspecting things like the form boards, the post-tension cables, the plumbing, the drainage plumbing inside of the slab.
Which prevents slabs cracking, pipes breaking, things like that.
There's a lot of things that have to be met before the pour can take place. A lot of those things, once the foundation is poured, you can't see. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of code things that we can go ahead and inspect before the foundation is poured.
What kind of issues do you run across during that?
Post-tension cables. That's the biggest issue. Post-tension cables, sleeves on post-tension cables.
What's wrong with them?
So post-tension cables let's talk about what they are first. Post-tension cables are cables that are inside of the foundation, and they have a polyethylene sleeve around the cable. The sleeve is to allow the cable to move inside that.
Okay.
The cable to move inside the sleeve. If the sleeve is not properly taken care of on the ends, then the concrete will adhere to the cable, and then when you move the cable, it could damage the slab.
Gotcha.
These are kind of things that you won't know until years later.
Till it's too late.
Right. So there's a lot of credentials that have to be met.
And what does it cost to fix something like that if that does happen? If you don't get a pre-inspection?
Depending on the damage, if you have a complete failure, then you'd be looking at
15 grand,
at least
30 grand.
At least.
Yeah.
But it could be something minor too. There are minor deficiencies too.
Right.
But anyway, at any rate, a lot of inspections can take place at that pre-pour stage. Then the second phase is the pre-drywall. This is right before the drywall goes on, so we're inspecting plumbing, electrical. These are all roughed-in plumbing, roughed-in electrical.
And you see a lot of issues in there, right?
Yes. Framing. I see a lot of framing issues, a lot of plumbing
I've heard recently
issues.
people talking about, and I've known this for a long time, but it just came up recently a couple of times, just random, where they keep putting wrong types of metal together when they're piping stuff in. So I guess this type of metal is not supposed to touch this type of metal.
Gotcha. Okay.
For like fittings or plumbing or I guess when they're adding, they decide to add like a water softener, later.
Sure.
Like throughout the process, they'll be like, oh, well, we've decided we want to add a water softener.
Yeah.
Then they put the wrong kind of fittings together, and then they rust out.
Yeah.
Because this type of metal isn't supposed to touch what's going on there?
So I don't really know on that end. A lot of builders are using PEX plumbing now, which is a polyethylene tubing.
Which is better.
Much better. It's
Yeah.
far superior. There's PEX A, PEX B. There's a little bit of difference to each one of them. But it's far superior to copper plumbing, galvanized plumbing for sure, CPVC plumbing.
Okay.
It's much better. You can have end to end with no joint. So you can have a connection at your water heater and a connection at the outlet at the faucet.
So it moves instead of
it bends, right?
Instead of like PVC, which you have to have a joint and then a joint and then.
Exactly. So they can run that all in one run without any connections. It's great stuff. And it has an expansion rate of 10 times.
Gotcha. Is that required to use now, or that by
No,
choice?
you
Is
can
it
still
is
use
it less
copper.
expensive
I think it is less expensive, yeah.
than
yeah.
PVC or
than PVC.
metal piping?
CPVC, yeah.
And we know copper is really expensive.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of people use copper. Is that mostly for gas lines and stuff?
No, they use black iron pipe for gas lines.
Oh, okay. See how much I know.
I mean, copper plumbing is still great plumbing. PEX is better,
It is.
yeah, but
It lasts longer.
well,
It's kind of new, so how do you know how long it lasts?
You got that expansion rate capability, so you don't have pipes bursting in the freezes.
Freezes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you think
stuff.
all homes are pretty much going to go to that?
Yeah, I do. So I do 350 inspections a year, and about 40% of my inspections this year were new construction.
Wow, that's a lot.
All of the new construction was PEX plumbing.
Okay.
I haven't done any copper plumbing on new homes.
Well, that's good to
in a
know.
long time,
So that
yeah.
makes your job easier.
Well, I mean, there's still deficiencies that
With
can
the
be
PEX?
with PEX, yeah, especially connection issues. It's a crimped fitting, so we got to look at all those fittings, make sure they're crimped properly.
Yeah, because they get in a hurry and they just do it
Yeah,
fast.
exactly. And they can leak at those fittings. Notorious for leaking at toilet valves, where they crimp them
Oh.
on, and stuff like that. So yeah,
Wash machines.
yeah. Any kind of connection to any faucet
Okay.
can have a failure.
And that
Yeah.
goes to your water heater and everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's used throughout the whole house. So that's phase 2. Electrical, roughed in HVAC is inspected at that time too. But most importantly, the framing. That's where we can see, once the drywall's on, we can't see the framing. We don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing back there, what
We've
they
seen
haven't
some
done back there.
pretty crazy stuff, pictures you've taken and your presentations where
Yeah,
the framing
I
is
have
like
seen so many crazy things.
so rigged.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Or
Yeah,
is it called the flashing or something?
Oh, yeah.
They put it on backwards or
Yes, window
crooked,
flashing is
yeah.
notorious for not being done properly.
then you have leaks,
Yes.
bugs,
Yes,
heat and air going through it.
right. Also, in phase 2, that's where the preliminary inspection is done for the roofing. Now, it's not fully completed, but all the shingles should be on by the time phase 2 comes
Okay.
around. The good thing about that is any kind of deficiencies that we find wrong
Yeah, and they
with the
put
shingles.
nails through stuff too. Like I've seen, well, I don't know if it was you that posted a picture. Somebody posted a picture recently where they were, I guess, doing the roof and they nailed through a pipe or
Oh,
something.
yeah. All that stuff happens all the time. It's like another day at the office for me.
And they didn't even notice that they did it and just left it. And
They get in such a hurry. I did it was a David Weekly home, and it was one of their high-end builders. This was it was about 3,500 square feet, and it was in Sienna Ranch. Beautiful home. This was a couple years ago, and the home. This was a neighborhood where all of the homes were new. They were all
right.
They were all David Weekly homes. They were all built about the same time. So I pull up on the job site and I'm looking at the house and I notice, I'm kind of looking at the roof and I noticed the roof didn't have any attic ventilation. I just noticed it right off the bat. And I'm looking at all the other David Weekly homes. I'm like, well, all these other homes have attic
They forgot to
ventilation.
put it.
They did.
My friend bought a Lamar home, and they forgot to put, I guess, the protectant behind her stove,
Yeah.
and they just left it
Oh,
open,
gosh.
and it caught on fire.
It's terrible.
And then I lived in a house that they put the tile in the shower, and they didn't
No
put
shower
the floor
pan?
pan.
Oh, no.
And I heard that was common too.
Oh, yeah.
They just tiled it right
Shower
in.
pans are inspected during phase 2.
Yeah, it's just crazy that they don't. Like, how do you forget? Those are really important.
You know what? Here's what I found out about the industry.
They should have
It's not-
somebody like a quality
They
QC
do.
guy that comes through and checks everything
They
like
do.
you.
They do. And we're going to get to that guy here shortly. They do.
We don't like that
What
guy.
happens is it's not so much that these builders are trying to do bad work.
Right.
It's not like they're
They don't
trying
want to
to
be
cut
sued.
corners.
They don't want to have to fix
Right.
that. They don't want to have a bad name.
They get in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, what happens is these job sites, they have a lot of turnovers. And when you have turnovers, then they don't know where the other person left off.
It's hard to find people to do that kind of work.
It is.
It's hard work.
It's hard work, and the industry is known for turnovers. So,
yeah, I owned a landscaping business for 3 years. I don't own it anymore for that exact reason.
turnovers.
The employees.
Yeah.
I loved landscaping.
Well, case in point, that David Weekley home, they had the attic ventilation left off. Turns out, I talked to the buyer a couple weeks later. I called him up and I said, hey, whatever happened to that deal? He goes, oh, you're not going to believe it. So they had so many jobs going on in that community that they were running out of roofing contractors. So they were going down to Home Depot and picking up day laborers to do the
I've
roof.
had to do that.
But you're
I mean,
hiring
you got to
people,
get it done.
but they were hiring people that weren't
But you
qualified.
need to supervise them. You just
Yeah.
need to have people supervising
Well, they
them.
weren't even
need to be-
qualified to be installing roofs. They had no idea what they were doing.
Oh.
I mean, the roof shingles were like not even
That's when
straight.
you called Tim.
Yeah.
Tim the tool man.
It was
Tim
bad.
the roof man.
So it's not so much that these builders are, they just get in a hurry and they have to pull from other job sites, pull contractors off of doing other
But even
work.
if you have people who've never done it before, you could at least supervise them. Have people on the job that know what they're doing.
Well, that supervisor is the one that's getting turned over. And he's the one also that is the what's called the third party inspector that the builder is providing. That's that guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he may or may not be inspecting anything.
That's scary. Don't ever use the builder's inspector. Use your own inspector.
No. So I talked to one of these guys one day.
It's a conflict of interest, and it should be against the law.
Yeah.
There should be laws. They have all these rules with track and everything.
So I was
Why is that not a rule?
They aren't governed by Trek. They're governed by their builder.
But
And their checklist, he showed me
Right.
their checklist. It's just a one pager with check boxes. Nothing.
there just needs to be a rule that you
the
can't
level.
use the builder's inspector, that you have to use your own.
So what
It's
they're
a conflict
doing,
of interest.
what they're doing is they're making sure, okay, is the cabinets installed? Yes. Are all the doors on the cabinets? Yes. That's the kind of level of inspecting they're doing.
Is it the
Oh.
counters they asked for? Is it
Right.
the color they wanted on the
Check.
walls?
Check. Is the shingles on the roof? Check. We're not checking to make
Is there
sure they're
any
installed
tape
properly.
and float that needs to still be done? Because I've found that before too.
Yes.
They didn't finish the tape and float in the closet, and I was like,
Yes. Is there paint on the walls? Check. We're not worried if it's chipped, scratched, or anything. Is the paint on the walls? Yes. That's the kind of level of inspecting they're doing,
Yeah.
not the kind of level of inspecting I'm doing.
"Are you?
They're-
Do you use blue tape?"
So I do blue tape new construction as I'm going along.
It just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. So typically the way it works is the buyer has a day set aside for what's
Their
called
final walkthrough.
final walk. Some of them call it their blue tape walkthrough. And most of the time, the agent will help them.
It's really not your
with
final
this.
walkthrough though. If you walk through it and you have to go back through it again.
True.
Because you find
and
stuff.
I do that too. Yeah. So I always kind of blue tape to kind of give them a head start, Now they still need to go through and mark, if they see a little scratch somewhere that they want repaired, that kind of thing. But I'm blue taping missing caulking, doors that don't shut properly, doorknobs that aren't tight, missing door stops, windows that don't open and close properly, those kind of things.
So you open all the windows. How long does it take you to do an inspection?
So on a typical 2,000 square foot home, we're looking at about 2.5 hours.
You just go through the whole house.
The whole house. I run the appliances.
Do you check like if they have irrigation and stuff? Do you check all that?
If
as well?
it has an irrigation system, yes, I
Is that
inspect
extra?
that too.
Is that
Usually I throw it in. If it's a small, now, if it's on 2.5 acres with 18 different zones,
Yeah.
then yeah, we'll charge that a little extra for it. But if it's just on a, your typical lot,
Right.
5-6 zone system,
And then you do septic inspections,
septic and
aerobic
well,
and conventional. You do both.
yes.
And then
Yes.
wells, all wells, they're
All
all
wells.
different. People
Yep.
don't understand that every single well out there is completely different than the other
Especially
one.
in Montgomery
It's
County.
whoever decided to put it together
Yep.
and however they felt like doing it.
A lot of different types
I
of
did not
wells.
know that until I lived in a house with a well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
In Montgomery, you can have literally any kind of well because it's so old.
Well, and
So-
a lot of it's out in the county.
Yeah.
Like I live in the Woodlands, but we're really county. Like it's county police, county everything, because we're in the township of the Woodlands.
Yeah.
But we're not really governed by like a city. It's
Yeah.
not like the city of Conroe or the city of Montgomery. It's weird. It's strange. I didn't really understand that until I moved there.
Yeah.
But then our address is Spring.
Yeah.
You know, it's but
I did
we're
a
not
well
governed by
out
Spring,
in,
but our city is Spring.
I did a well inspection out in, I think it was Crockett. And it was like a homemade style well.
Yeah.
It was like a metal barrel that the water was being pumped into. And it had a homemade float switch
Nice.
using like toilet float.
Yeah. So it was
You know,
like
turn it on and off.
100-year-old.
No
system.
lid on it. I mean, bug.
Ew.
Yeah, it could have been bad.
Nature's
Yeah,
catching rainwater and everything, huh?
yeah, and it was just being plumbed right into the house.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Anything could crawl in there and die.
Oh yeah. I mean, no lid on it, so mosquito larvae.
You
anything
can't
could
pass
just-
that, can you?
No, that's not sanitary at all.
No. So we were talking about, the phases. So when you do a phase inspection, you're going to come 3 times, maybe
3 times.
4.
Sometimes 4, but most of the time it's just 3.
right?
Yeah.
So you have phase 1, phase 2,
Phase 1, phase 2. Now, sometimes what will happen, especially in phase 2, is they'll go in and repair a lot of those things that I found.
and then you go back and check.
And then I'll go back out and check, make sure it's done.
And then you go back again for that's what I was saying. It's usually like 3 or 4, right?
Right, yeah.
Because you want to make sure that they fix it correctly.
Exactly, because any builder can say, it's done, we fixed it, and then hurry up and put drywall on before anybody sees.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
It does. And nobody wants to have to be out there doing it themselves because a lot of people don't know what they're looking at or what they're looking for.
Well, and that's kind of the thing. We're getting to a time where people are trying to save money. I've had people call me and they're like, well, I tell them how much it is. And they're like, well, it's a lot of money. I think I'm just going to do it myself. And that's fine. I don't know everybody's, abilities, but are you going to run all the appliances? Are you going to inspect a roof? You're not going to
It's worth the money that you're going to save in the long haul from the problems that will come about.
Exactly.
Because every report, every inspection you do, there's things on there, especially in new construction. There's usually a list,
There's
long
a list,
laundry
but not
list.
only a list, but like the level of inspections that we do. I do an AC performance test. I mean, are you going to be doing an AC performance test?
Right. They don't have equipment for that.
Do you know all the codes? Are you going to know if something is up to code?
Right. But the thing I'm trying to say is like when you do your report, especially on new construction, there's a lot of stuff on there that needs to be fixed.
Oh yeah.
On every single one of
Every
them.
single house. I've never done a perfect house.
Yeah.
So
I feel like on the new construction, it's a lot worse a lot of times than even like an older home.
people don't understand that. I'm usually at a new construction house
lot
longer than I am on an older home.
You find a lot more issues.
Yes.
Because on the older homes, those issues have already been fixed.
Oh, even fixed, yeah. And not only that, but we're inspecting on a different level, right? So
Right.
like, I call it micro and macro. So if we're inspecting a new construction, we're going to be inspecting more on a micro level.
Right.
We're documenting scratches in the walls, touch-up painting, doors that are scratched, missing door stops.
Do you find that the quality of work that's being done because of maybe the turnover or whatever the reason is not as good as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I have seen a difference. I
Yeah,
have.
I hear that.
Yeah, but I also see that once
But they got better.
a builder knows that an inspector is going to be involved,
They go out there and start fixing
the
everything.
quality goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing is you tell them I have an inspector.
Yep. That definitely tell them.
On a 2,000, let's say a 2,500 square foot house. That's kind of more the average these days. It used to be like 1,800. Now it's like 2,500,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What does it cost for like a phase 3-phase inspection?
So all the phases, for a 2,500 square foot house, you'd be looking at $350
For 3 phases?
for each phase. $350 for phase 1, $350 for
That's
phase
cheap.
2. And then the phase 3 inspection is based off of square footage, but for 2,500 square feet, you'd be looking at $450.
Okay.
So
That's not very much money.
considering the level of inspections that you're going to
You're
get,
spending a lot of time out there
yeah,
and you're traveling.
yeah.
People don't understand you have overhead.
Well, and I'm also making sure that they're doing those things.
Yeah.
Not only am I giving you the report, you get a report on every single phase. So I give you the report. You can take that report, give it to your builder, and then once he's done completing the repairs,
I bet they love you.
They don't. They don't like me very much.
You're a Karen.
Yeah. Oh, I get called all kinds of names. I'm a hack. I've been called a hack.
A hack? What is
Yeah.
that?
I guess because I hacked the house up. I went too hard on the inspection report.
I've heard my kids use that word. I don't really understand that term.
So the one that I got called a hack on was one. It's a very popular builder in Montgomery.
We won't say names.
We won't say names, but they had missing caulking like everywhere. They had a toe kick panel at one of the bathrooms that wasn't even on there. They put the shoe molding on without the toe kick panel. Like, it was just not even on there. Loose toilets. It was a brand new home.
Nobody wants to sit on a loose toilet.
Yeah. Oh, and it had failed windows. They were brand new windows that were failed.
What do you mean failed?
So, windows these days are double pane windows. There's two
Right.
panes of glass side by side. In between those two panes of glass is argon gas. That argon gas can sometimes develop a leak in that chamber, and then it'll escape, and then you have moisture intrusion. That moisture intrusion inside there, you'll see it as a haze, a fog, sometimes even a line of moisture that's been
You
dripping.
see it in older homes a lot.
A lot of times in older homes. But these were brand new windows.
Yeah, that's not good.
Shouldn't have failed windows on a brand new home. Well, this particular failed window was just barely failed. You could just barely see it, but it was failed. And I was a hack because I called out a failed window.
Windows are expensive.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And this was a brick home, so it's going to be a lot more work to swap out a window in a brick home. It was not a movable window.
Or
it
a
was a solid
stucco
window.
homes are real bad, right?
Yeah.
Because the stucco starts coming off.
Oh, yeah.
You try to replace a window in a stucco home, all the stucco starts falling off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate
Stucco has its own.
I hate stucco.
Stucco has its own issues. Fortunately, we have a great stucco inspector.
I can't believe they even allow stucco around here.
It's come a long way.
Has it?
It has come a long way.
There's so many
It's
issues with
definitely
mold
not
and-
ideal. It's definitely
It's
not
too
an
moisture. There's too much
Yeah.
moisture and trees and sap and
Yeah.
bugs and
It has to be maintained quite a bit.
Yeah.
People don't understand that. They're like, well, it's a stucco home. They think it's like a brick home where they don't have to do any maintenance, and that's not true.
there's a lot of maintenance on a stucco home.
Yeah. It has its own issues.
A lot of issues.
Yeah. But the older stucco, oh, it was bad.
Yeah,
It was really bad about complete failures.
that's why we call Beth.
That's right. We have a great mold
Beth
inspector.
Harbison. She's awesome. Yeah, I like her a lot. So how did you end up in this business? I've heard your story, but I want you to tell everybody. Because I
So-
love your story.
Well, I was actually,
You just have that brain.
so my parents were real estate investors. So I've been around real estate like my whole life.
They flipped houses, correct?
They bought and flipped houses. They did long-term rentals. I grew up make-readying houses for rentals, you know. So I've been around real estate like forever.
You've seen it a lot.
We still, in fact, every time I visit my parents, we talk about real estate. Like, it's just a thing in our house, you know. Growing up, I was real big into racing and hot rodding and stuff, and
Which is
wasn't
really
really into
cool.
real estate, you
Yeah.
know. So,
Hot rods are cool.
yeah.
I changed my background on my Facebook today. It's like a
Well,
1968 Mustang,
It doesn't really do
green,
anything for me anymore.
but it's in the snow, so it's like Christmassy. It doesn't?
No.
Oh, I love cars.
To me, a 68 Camaro and a 2025
out or what?
Camaro is the same to me. Like, yeah, I'm burned out. I just did it for so long.
So you were all into that in high school.
Yeah, and I went to school to be
did your own
a
path.
technician, and I went to go be a technician and did that for 27 years.
You're not old enough
And-
to have a job for 27 years. You started when you were like 10?
No, I started when I was 16, right out of high school.
Yeah.
In fact, in high school, I worked at an independent automotive shop, Al Corb's Automotive. Great guy.
I didn't realize you were my age.
I'm 47.
Yeah. I'm not 47 yet, but I'm right behind you.
But yeah, did that, and then my dad was always in construction, so I got burned out. I got burned out.
Do you like doing inspections more?
I love it. It's my true passion. I mean, I should have just gone this route from the beginning because it's always been in my blood.
You
Like,
always talk about it so passionately.
I love it.
That's why I titled it A Keen Eye for Detail, because people just talk about how you find things that nobody else found, and
Yeah.
you're just very kind of nerd. You geek out about it. And
It's just a natural thing to me.
Yeah.
Like, it comes so natural. Like, it's just,
that's the kind of inspector you want.
yeah.
I know
I
a lot of
mean-
inspectors that hate their job.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
There's a lot of stuff like crawling in small spaces and bugs
I
and
got
mice.
that made.
And
I'm 5'4". I can fit anywhere.
are you 5'4"?
5'4". Actually, I think I've shrunk a little bit. I might be even a little shorter than 5'4".
That's perfect.
I used to be 5'4".
It's perfect for racing too.
No,
I thought
no more racing for
I
me.
thought race car drivers are small, right?
It helps. I mean, there's big race car drivers too.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson.
I was into drag racing. That was my thing. But
My son wants to be an F1 racer. He says
it'd be awesome.
he wanted to be a monster truck driver for a while. Now he wants to be an F1 racer. Not awesome for mom.
No,
That's dangerous.
Kind of scary. Yeah.
He just is obsessed. His whole room is decorated with cars now, and
The thing about cars is that there's always somebody faster than you, and to go faster costs money.
in your
It's
life,
just a huge, huge money pit.
money pit in life, you're risking your life
Yeah.
for what?
And you get nothing back out of it.
No.
You can
See, I
put
like to buy I want like a Mustang with a 429 in it that I can just cruise around on Sunday because it sounds good, and like do a burnout at the stop sign. I don't want to I mean, I
to
would go to
me-
like a drag and like race like a
I'm so over
mile.
it. Like every time I see people, to each their own. But when I see a hot rod pull up next to me, I just kind of giggle because I've been there, and I'm like, you just dumped a bunch of money into nothing.
Yeah, I bought my grandpa's 1977 Chevy that he let sit for like 5 years. So I had to replace the fuel pump and all the hoses and all the belts. And I mean, it was just one thing after another after another.
Yeah.
And then I drove it for a while. But it was always something,
It's always something.
And
And
then
you
I
can
needed to
spend-
find ethanol-free gas because if you put regular gas in, it doesn't run right.
Oh, yeah.
It was an issue, but God, I loved it. And I still if a car pulls up next to me and I can feel it in my chest.
You like
it
that, huh?
just,
See,
but I grew up with that. My grandpa owned an auto parts store for 45 years. My other his dad worked for Chrysler, retired from Chrysler. He was like I don't know, big guy. He was like a paper pusher.
yeah.
But, he was like a CEO or something. But
I used to
and then
have
my
these kids.
granddaddy rebuilt Mustangs. He worked in oil. He was like a safety director, whatever, overseas. But with all his money, rebuilt Mustangs. And so I grew up around
It's
it.
a rich boy sport. I mean, I would have these kids come in and, you know, they would have a Camaro or something like, hey, we want you to put a cam in here, a supercharger on here, some headers, you know, re-gear the rear end. And I look at the money they just dumped into it, and all they're doing is just going fast. That's it. All that money. And then you spend $15,000-$20,000
there's
to go
people
10
who's-
seconds
yeah.
and a quarter, and then when you get ready to sell it, you barely get it out. You can buy a
I don't know.
house.
Have you seen what some of these cars are going for? It's nuts. Classic cars, they've doubled in price in the last 5 years.
I had a 70 and a 72 Chevrolet pickup. I sold both of them so I could afford to buy, because I had to drive far. They were both very fast. But I
You
had to
got real good
drive
gas mileage, right?
terrible gas
Mine got
mileage,
like 8 miles to the gallon.
I don't even think I was getting that. But I had to drive I don't know, it was probably 50 miles one way to go to college. And I couldn't drive that. I mean, neither one of those trucks were trucks I could leave somewhere,
Right.
you know.
Somebody would steal them.
They would be gone.
Yeah.
So I sold both of them and bought a 1987 Nissan Maxima. And it drove great, got great gas mileage, and I missed my old trucks, but those days are gone. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad they're gone. You know, I don't really miss them. They were good while they lasted. I don't want them back though. Like, I'm fine just the
yeah.
way it is. I don't miss it. I did it for so long.
Now you just go on vacation all the time
Yeah.
and
Think
travel.
You could, if people would put money into real estate instead of the vehicle. My dad used to tell me this all the time. He'd get so mad at me because I'd spend money on my hot rods.
Oh, people make fun of me because I drive a 2013 Tahoe. We talk about it all the time. I mean, I get so much crap for it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, my dad was a real
Especially
estate
my
investor,
kids.
so he was telling me, buy real estate. And I was like, no, Dad, I want a hot rod. You know, and I look back and
You
all
had
the
to learn.
money I spent on hot rods, I could have bought real estate, which I did, actually. I did get into real estate in 2001. I bought my
That's pretty
first.
early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I still do real estate, so
Yeah, real estate's a great investment.
yeah,
It's always a great investment.
can
Buy
hardly ever
dirt,
go wrong.
That song, Buy Dirt.
If you buy right, you'll never go wrong, especially in Montgomery.
Yeah,
Montgomery County.
I mean, there's money pits out there. People can go sideways on those, but I mean, land, can't go wrong with land.
Yeah.
Doesn't depreciate.
I do a lot of inspections for investors, you know, which is a whole different inspection. But, you know, investors that are buying property where they're going to gut them, they don't care about what the appliances work or not,
Right.
you know.
They're just going
pulling
to
them
throw it
out.
all away.
Yeah.
Mhm. They
They
want
just
to know
wanna
about
know-
the bones.
They want to know about the bones. That's
Mhm.
right. They want to know if somebody put.
It's good to know that you work with investors because we have investors that we work with that we need to get you connected.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot cheaper inspection. It's not.
Third Tuesdays. We're not doing third Tuesday in December. We're doing it, starting it back in January. But
Yeah.
we can get them to come to the third Tuesdays. Investors, if you want to come meet Keaton, or anybody wants to come meet Keaton, realtors, anybody, come
Come
to
on.
third Tuesday of every month of the year except December. We're not doing it because of Christmas, but Christmas gets crazy. Too many parties, too many things. I'll be in Fort Worth, actually.
It's a good way to know like where you stand on a property because a lot of investors, some investors that I work with, they're buying properties sight unseen. They've never even seen them.
You go look at it for
I go
'em?
look at it.
That's trust right there.
Just you know, they want to know. Okay, did somebody put cement down the drains? You know, kind of thing.
Paint,
Yeah,
latex
they're
paint.
buying foreclosures, so they want to know like
Yeah.
you know what the condition of the property is,
Yeah.
what it's going to take to get it right. You know, so it's a bare inspection, you know, but it's great peace of mind.
Yeah.
So
Well, I appreciate you coming on today. Y'all can also come see him at BNI on Thursdays at 202 Main at 7:30 in the morning.
not this Thursday.
Not this Thursday. He's going to be in Cabo on vacation. He's on vacation like once a month now, I feel like.
Yeah, if I can.
Doing all those inspections and taking his girlfriend on vacations. But yeah, Man, it was great to have you.
I'm so happy you had me on.
You're so
I appreciate
knowledgeable.
I could talk all day about inspections.
Yeah.
I love it.
And aliens.
And aliens and Bigfoots.
Hopefully, maybe you'll see an alien in Cabo. There's probably not any Bigfoot down there, but I bet you there's aliens.
If I ever walk up into an attic and see an alien, I'm probably out.
You're by Mexico, so.
There's a lot of aliens
Hotspot.
over there. Oh, really? Okay. I'll keep an eye out for one.
All right, well, let me know. We'll
And
have you back
Bigfoot.
on the show. That'd be so cool. Well, thanks, Keaton.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Everybody have a good week. And all Keaton's information is listed in the description below. And,
Do home inspections, sewer scopes, WDI termite inspections, well inspections, septic inspections. Do it all. Full turnkey service.
it's awesome.